Is it me, or is the world just going crazy right now? Hello everyone, Fernando here, God's Prepared Warrior, and I want to thank you for watching this video today. Happy Friday. We've made it to Friday. I hope that you are having an exciting Friday and you don't have too much to do today. I want us to look at a few things today because I feel like the world is just kind of like upside down right now, and I want to be able to share with all of you what I'm looking at, what I see, and kind of give you my opinion, what I think is maybe the right thing. But I want to share this with you because I think we need to lay it all on the table and shine truth onto all of this. So if you're paying attention to the news, the IRS is going to begin to lay off some people, lay off or fire or something. They're going to be doing something. But if you go and you look, you're going to see those two things. They're either going to be laid off or they're going to be fired. And either thing will happen, but I will tell you that the left is trying to show that the choices that Donald Trump is making, they're trying to make it look bad, right? So they're wanting to spew these kinds of things that aren't even true, right? They are going to be looking into the IRS. They're going to be looking at their spending. They are going to be doing cutbacks in there. But the other side wants you to think that all of these Americans are going to lose their job, and there are going to be people that lose their job, but the thing is, they're going to let people go who aren't doing anything. So I just want you to be able to see that, because I'm looking at two sides of the coin here, and I don't think we should allow those things that happen kind of throw us for a loop, because we know that they're going to go in and they're going to cut spending, right? And so if you have people that are not doing any kind of work and they're kind of collecting a paycheck, then they're going to let those people go. And so I just want to kind of bring light to this, because the other side is going to say, oh no, Donald Trump is doing this, and they're going to paint it all kinds of colors, so that you can think, oh, maybe we should believe this, when in all actuality it is not true at all. It's funny because the left tried to say that Donald Trump was going to shut down USAID, and the truth is that they went in there and they found all of the places where they could save money, and they closed down several things. And what they did was, Donald Trump's administration merged USAID with the State Department, so that all of that can be consolidated and be able to be managed well. And so the other side is going to take everything and they're going to turn it upside down and they're going to twist it. And it's important for us as God's prepared warriors to see these things, but to also seek the truth, right? This is why I always say stay vigilant, because you can't just take one side and say that's the truth and not take the other side and compare the two, right? There's always it's funny because one side says one thing and then there's the other side, and so you got to look at both. You can't just take one side and say that's the truth without really seeking for the truth. So it makes it look like everything is just totally upside down and topsy-turvy, and everybody's going crazy, and everybody's pulling at straws, and everybody's pointing fingers one to the other. And this is the moment where we as God's prepared warriors have to stop, and we have to pray, and we have to ask God to open our eyes to the truth, because that's what we need to seek, right? Open our eyes to the truth and allow God to show us what the truth is, so that we can see where we need to go, right? Because we're supposed to be on that narrow path, not on the wide path that everybody else walks on, but on the narrow path that leads to life. Here's another thing I found in the news. Entire Alabama Police Department put on leave after grand jury recommends it to be abolished. Now, the mayor of a city in Alabama has placed its entire police force, or their entire police department, on an administrative leave a day after officials announced that the grand jury had recommended the small department be abolished, saying it had operated as more of a criminal enterprise than law enforcement agency, and is an ongoing threat to public safety. Now, guys, this is why it's so important for you to know. I mean, back in the day, we didn't have to really do this because people were, I think, a lot more honest. But as we continue to move in a direction to where we are finding more lies than we do truth, we ourselves need to arm ourselves with an understanding of the rule of law, right? We live in a time where we have to know the Constitution, because the Constitution is trying to be broken up. They're trying to take this amendment. They're trying to change that amendment. They're trying to do all of these things. And if we don't know anything about that, all of those rights that we have will be taken away from us. It's so important to arm ourselves with knowledge. This is why I say so often that we need to be vigilant. We need to be vigilant in everything. We should, whenever we get stopped by a policeman, we should already know what that protocol is. If we were doing something wrong, we need to stop, have a conversation with the police officer, and then at the same time, we should know the rights of that stop, right? It's not just for them to know. You should know your rights too, because it can be you driving through this city in Alabama, and then all of a sudden you're part of an investigation because, well, they made it up or whatever, right? And this police department is running like a criminal organization, and whatever they were doing, right? But if the person doesn't know, not necessarily the rules, but law, you should know your rights. You should know what it means when they say you have the right to be silent. You should know your Miranda rights. What are those rights? What do they mean? Who is Miranda, right? We should ask those questions and learn for ourselves, so that we're not taken advantage of, because apparently not just city government, but our own government has been taking advantage of us for so long. And now Donald Trump is coming in there and he's cleaning up the swamp. He is going in there and seeking truth. And that's why people are going beside themselves, is because now they've been caught. Now they're in trouble, and now they're trying to claw their way out of being in trouble. And so it's so important for us as God's prepared warriors to be understanding of the things that are happening around us. And we should no longer live our life not knowing. We should know, right, everything. If you drive a car, you should know how that car works. You should know what kind of gas goes in it. You should know How much oil do you put in it? How often do I need to change it? You should know all of those things. Why wouldn't we know our the laws in our area? Why wouldn't we know that? We need to no longer rely on the system that is broken, and that's what's happening. People are relying too much on a broken system. I don't know if if you've seen this reported, but the correctional officers in New York are striking. Striking correctional officers call Hokan's National Guard deployment a slap in the face. So the correctional officers are protesting. They are, not protesting. They are on strike, and so while they are on strike, the National Guard is doing their job, and they're securing the prison. So, for whatever reason, this is, they are upset because somebody else had to come in and do their job while they go on strike. So when I say that our world is really upside down, there are just so many things that are happening that are making it all upside down. And so I think that as we look at these things, we should immediately, our focus should be to go to God and to pray and ask God to bring peace to our country, because our country is a boiling pot of little things that are happening, and I feel like the more these things happen, the more something within our country will happen. Like it might implode in itself because of all the tensions, because of how we're divided politically, religiously, all these things, right? And I think that as God's prepared warriors, we should see these things, we should be vigilant, right? And our preparedness for that is to not run into fear, but to run to the Lord, who is our rock. And we should get down on our knees and just request the Lord to just bring peace and calm to the United States, to where we can all work together again. I heard a podcast today, and I can't remember who it was, but I remember the podcast specifically because they were talking about 9/11. And the person that was being interviewed was there, and he experienced that. And so he was saying that to him, it was the first time that America was truly united after that event. And how from that point till where we are now, we're totally separated again. And so today, my prayer has been that we would just let God have everything, right? Because He's the one that's in control. Give Him everything so that He can work on our government, that He can work in the lives of the people in all of these situations that are happening that we just looked at. And those are just a few, right? And so I bring them to your attention, not to fear those things or whatever's happening there, but that you would join me in asking God to heal our land. It's so important that we do that. This reminds me of the scripture found in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, beginning in verse 11. I want to read this to you. The Lord appears to Solomon, and this is right after Solomon built the temple, and they were dedicating it to the Lord, and the Lord filled the temple, and they worshipped Him. They all fell on their face and they worshipped Him. In verse 11, after that, it says, when Solomon had finished the temple of the Lord and the royal place, and had succeeded in carrying out all he had in mind to do in the temple of the Lord and in his own palace, the Lord appeared to him at night and said, I heard your prayer, and I have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices. Verse 13 says, when I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command a locust to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I have chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. And as for you, if you walk before me faithfully as David, your father did, and do all I have commanded, and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne as I have covenanted with David your father, when I said, you shall never fail to have a successor to rule over Israel. Now, I read you that because I think about, does the Lord really hear our prayer? And the Bible says that He does. He does hear our prayer. The other question that I ask is, Lord, will you move? And when I read this in this way, that where he's talking to Solomon, and he says, when I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command the locust to devour the land, or send plague among my people. He says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. Our land needs healing. And for our land to be healed, we need to ask God for forgiveness, and we need to seek His face, and then He will hear our prayer. Guys, I want God to hear your prayer. And I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you to continue to pray for our country. Continue to pray for our leaders. To continue to pray that God would just send us in a direction where we need to go. That means that we need God back in our country. We need God back. And because that's the only way we're going to make it. Guys, thank you for watching my video today. I hope that it brings you hope and encouragement. And I hope it just challenges you to continue to pray for our country, to continue to pray for one another. And that God would just hear our prayer. I know He will. Let's all get together and let's all begin to pray, and let's bend God's ear and tell Him to come heal our land. Guys, have a great Friday. Have a great weekend, and hope to see you on the next video. Hey guys, this is Fernando, God's Prepared Warrior. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel.